Do you want to gain as much muscle as possible as fast as possible? Well, this is the complete guide on how to do just that. I went from this to this in less than 2 years, and I didn't even do most of the things I'm going to talk about in this video. Now, I want you to keep in mind this is not a video on the easiest or most comfortable way to get muscle, but instead the fastest and most effective way to get muscle with or without PEDs. And make sure you stay till the end of the video, because at the end I'm going to give the #1 best tip for getting muscle fast. In this video, we're going to go over training, nutrition, supplements, and miscellaneous. And the first and biggest, most important category is training. Now first, you should be training 6 days a week, and the reason I say 6 instead of 7 is because it's been shown in studies that having 1 rest day is beneficial for muscle growth. But if you go down to 5 days a week, you actually lose some extra muscle growth that you could have gotten. So that's why I say 6 days is the most optimal way to get muscle. Now you might be asking what type of training split you should be using. Now some of the most famous splits are the bro split, where you train 1 muscle group a day, full body, where you train your full body every day, upper lower, where you alternate between doing an upper day and a lower day, and push pull legs, which basically is one day you do all pushing movements, then all pulling movements, and then you do legs. Now studies have shown that the bro split is one of the worst splits that you can do. And basically what the bro split is doing a high amount of sets for a few different exercises, all targeting 1 muscle group. But it has been shown that targeting several muscle groups per day and doing less sets is far more beneficial for muscle growth. Now I personally have done almost every single type of split in existence, and I think personally the upper lower split is superior to all of them. Now you should be doing at least 3 sets for each muscle group a week. Now it has been shown in countless studies time and time again that going to muscle failure with every set is extremely beneficial for muscle growth. Now what muscle failure is going until you literally can't do another rep of the exercise. Literally, if someone had a gun pointed to your head and told you that if you were able to complete this rep, you would live and get $1 million, and you weren't able to complete it, that is true muscle failure and the most beneficial for muscle growth. Now, a mistake that a lot of beginners, including myself, make is that we tend to neglect certain muscles and we tend to over focus on certain other muscles. For example, you might add a few extra sets to bench press, but then take away a few sets for calf raises. Now actually doing this is a really bad idea, because there's a certain point where once you actually do too many sets, you actually start losing the amount of gains that you could be doing. And so the amount of sets I've already told you should be doing for each muscle group per week is about the maximum amount of sets you should be doing for maximum muscle growth. And so quite literally, if you're adding extra sets to your chest days, then you're going to get less gains in your chest and less gains in your calves because you took away sets from your calves. Now you may be asking what specific exercises that you should be doing. Now obviously I'm not going to go through a whole list of what exercises are good or bad. If you want to know that, you can watch some of my other videos. Instead, there are 2 questions you should ask yourself before doing any type of exercise. And those 2 questions are, does it provide a good stretch on the targeted muscle? And does it provide a good amount of tension or resistance under the stretch? Now, the reason those questions are important to ask is because it's been proven in countless studies that a good stretch and a good amount of tension under the stretch is extremely beneficial for muscle growth. Now with each set, you should be doing anywhere from 6 to 12 reps to failure. So if when you hit failure, it's between 6 and 12 reps, that is the most optimal range for gaining muscle. Now whenever you hit 12 or more reps on any exercise, the next time you do the exercise, you should add weight to it. Your body won't get more muscle unless you give it a reason to. Now, what I personally do to keep track of this is I have a bunch of different exercises that I do. And at the first set of each exercise, I write down how many reps I was able to do before I hit failure. And then when I hit 12 or more reps, I then add weight the next workout, and then I record how many reps I'm able to get with that new weight. Alright, and now we're going to move on to nutrition. Now first, you should be eating anywhere from 1 to 1.5 grams of protein for every pound in body weight you have, or every centimeter in height you have. Now you should be eating in a calorie surplus of 350 to 500 calories. And if you don't know what a calorie surplus is, first I have to explain what calorie maintenance is. Calorie maintenance is how many calories your body burns per day. So for an example, the average male burns around 2,400 calories a day. And that means if he ate more calories than that a day, he would gain weight, and if he ate less than that a day, he would lose weight. And so when you're eating more calories than your maintenance, that's called a caloric surplus. And when you're eating less, that's called a caloric deficit. And if you're eating a calorie surplus, as long as you're weight training and eating enough protein, you will gain muscle. Now, yes, you will also gain a small amount of fat, but the more you increase that surplus, the more fat you will get. And that 350 calorie to 500 calorie surplus range is about the range where you're able to get the maximum amount of muscle while maintaining the amount of fat you're getting. So increasing it any further than 500 calories is basically just you getting more fat. Now, it's been shown in a lot of studies that you should space out your protein throughout the day, and you should eat it in anywhere from 3 to 5 meals. And now we're moving on to supplements. Now, muscle building supplements can be a pretty intimidating thing for a lot of beginners because there's so many different ones. But luckily, there's actually only 3 main supplements that you're going to need to gain muscle. And for the other hundreds of supplements out there, they usually have no muscle building benefit. And those 3 supplements are creatine, pre-workout, and protein powder. Now, creatine is one of the best muscle building supplements out there that have 0 side effects. Studies have shown that creatine can add an extra 2 to 3 pounds of muscle per year. Now, creatine is stored in the muscles, and to put it simply, basically what it does is it increases blood flow to all of your muscles, so that way they can work more effectively. Now, with creatine, you should take about 10 grams of creatine for the first week or 2 of using it, and this is called the loading phase. So basically, there's creatine storage inside your body, and those first week or 2 that you're in the loading phase, you're filling up that box, because each time you work out, that box gets emptied a little bit, but after the first couple weeks, 5 grams of creatine a day is enough to keep the box filled. Now, pre-workout is a great supplement, but not because it directly gives you muscle. Now, a lot of people, they find it hard to get motivated to work out without pre-workout, and so if it makes the difference between you getting up and working out, then pre-workout is excellent. Not only that, but pre-workout makes you more energetic, and when you're energetic for your workouts, it usually means you're going to push yourself harder and get more micro tears in your muscle. And micro tears are actually a good thing, because when your body has micro tears, it repairs it stronger and bigger than before, and that's how muscle grows. Now, it should be obvious to most people why protein powder is a good supplement to have. Really, it's quite simple. Muscles are made out of protein, and so the more protein you can get, the more your body has the capability to repair your muscles. And protein powder is especially useful when you're at the end of the day and you haven't hit your protein goal for that day, and you can quickly just make a protein shake and drink it in 5 minutes. Now, I would highly suggest getting a macro tracker online, and basically what a macro tracker does is it tracks how much protein and calories you consume. Now, there are many different ones, but if you're looking for a free one, I use one called Fat Secret, and I'm not sponsored or anything, but it's just personally what I use because it's free. Alright, and now we're going to move on to a couple miscellaneous tips on how to gain muscle. And the first tip is that you should be getting at least 8 hours of sleep. And the reason that is because when you're sleeping, your body repairs muscle way faster and more effectively. Alright, and the final tip and most important thing for gaining muscle is to always stay consistent. For some people, it will take many weeks, possibly months, until they start seeing real differences in their body. And even with all these tips that I've given, it still might take years until you're at your genetic potential. And so one of the worst things that you can do is start working out, start eating right, start gaining muscle, and then stop doing it for a few weeks and lose those months and months of progress.